because you already know who you are in those terms, then you will not go up and about giving excuses, or you will not go up and about judging others who portray what is not in you. Hello, Mirembe Mwesi, Mirembe Handi. Welcome to Nabire Chesa TV, where humility plus simplicity equals authenticity. My name is Mildred Chesa. I am a life, marriage, and relationship coach by experience and a broadcast journalist by profession. On today's topic, we're going to discuss about are you generous or are you stingy? A generous person is somebody who is ready to share, is ready to give, and is just ready to be out there for others. You can be generous with your time, you can be generous with your money, you can be generous by being kind to others, reaching out, material things, and therefore the readiness, the willingness to share even without being told or even without somebody doing something for you to do it makes you generous. While stingy people are those people who are not ready to share. They are not ready to give, and they're not ready to spend on anybody. And every time opportunities arise for them to do so, they give excuses or they just are non-committal about it. Therefore, you have to know who you are between these two. And then there are those who are both stingy and generous. These ones are generous when provoked, or when somebody insists, or for a purpose. If they feel like I can be generous to this person, or I can give this person because of A, B, C, D, then they are generous. But then sometimes they're just stingy, like they will not give, even if you ask them for it, even if they are provoked, even if they are pushed, they will just not give. Therefore, they are both sides. So most of the time, their generosity is compelled by a reason. They're just not generous because they want to be generous, but they're generous because maybe they're getting something out of it, or they like the person, or they want to show off. So that's when their generosity shows. Otherwise, they are stingy, but only generous when they choose to. And then there are those who are generous um, for a purpose. They want somebody to prove that there is a reason for them to be generous or to give them whatever they need to give. So maybe you have to work for it, like maybe after observing your work ethic or your deeds or whatever it is, like they need to prove that you really qualify for their generosity. So you have to understand who you are in all this. Like, are you generous just naturally? Like, anytime you meet somebody who is in need, you just feel in your spirit like you want to give. Even when you see somebody is in need of quality time, you offer yourself. When you see somebody is in need of kindness, or you just offer even your kindness even when somebody is not in need of it, but you just ready to offer yourself anytime, then that means you are a generous person, and you don't look at what you'll benefit afterwards, or you don't look at it in terms of, I am doing this because later on I might get this. You just do it because in your spirit and in your heart it naturally comes. And those who are stingy, they do not even feel that spirit, or nothing compels them to want to share or to want to give. They're not even moved when they see things happen or whatever. In fact, when there is a chance for them to be generous, they will either give excuses or they will just blatantly say no. So some stingy people will give excuses, while some will outrightly just say no and they will not give. And then those who are generous for a purpose, they will want you to prove that you deserve their generosity. And sometimes they can be ruthless because some of them will need you to do so much for you to qualify for their generosity. By the time they give you something, you will have gone through a lot to gain it. While some will not make you go through a lot, but they will want to see your willingness to earn whatever they need to give you. So it will depend on who it is. If in there are those who will make you um, go through a lot to enjoy their generosity, then you will know this is that kind of a person. They're generous, yes, but you have to really work for that generosity, for their generosity to come out. And for some, you don't need to work so much for their generosity to come out, but you really need to show you deserve it. And then they're like stingy because if you don't prove, or if you don't go through the tests that maybe they want to put you through for you to gain their generosity, then they will not give you whatever you are supposed to get as a generous offer or anything. Therefore, this they are on both sides. They can be stingy and generous at the same time. So, where do you lie? Are you those people who are just generous naturally and regardless of what you gain after, or you don't need people to prove for you to be generous to them? Or are you those people who are generous with a purpose? Or are you those people who have to subject others to so much for their generosity to come out? Or are you stingy? You just don't like sharing, or you just don't like spending on others, or you just want everybody to understand that they should work hard on their own and enjoy their own, while you work hard on your own and enjoy your own. So when you understand all these things and you understand who you are as a generous person or a stingy person or both, then it will be very easy for you when you're faced with situations. You will know what to do. You will not be confused. And then, if you're a generous person, you will understand that nobody should make you start being stingy, or nobody should make you um, stop being generous because maybe they feel like you're too generous or anything. If in your heart you feel like your heart is that heart of giving, of course you have to give with a limit, but do not do it because others are influencing you to stop. As in, do not do it or stop doing it because of others. Whenever your spirit feels like you need to be generous and you know that you're a generous person, go for it. And if you are that person who has to be generous with a purpose, then that's also okay, because sometimes maybe you decided to be generous with a purpose because before you were very generous and so many people took advantage of you and it affected you. So if you feel like when you're too generous, people affect you and it starts stressing you, or you feel a type of way about it, then it is okay to be generous with a purpose and just embrace that. And the reason why it is important to know all these personalities is so that we also understand others who are either or. Because when we understand this, it will be very easy for us to be around others and not be too judgmental. If you see someone is stingy and you are not stingy, then it's not in your place to try and change them to be generous. That is who they are, and they are comfortable being stingy. But you, as a generous person, you continue being generous because you are a generous person. If somebody else will influence you to be stingy, then in other words, it means you're not really a generous person. You're just generous for show off, or maybe um, it wasn't really your thing. So, every personality is important to understand so that you embrace whoever you are. And if you're around stingy people, you will know that it is not up to them to be generous. If you feel like you're a generous person, you go ahead and do it. Don't start judging them and say, oh, I'm the one who's always generous, I'm the one who's always doing this. No, they are stingy, you are generous. So you do you. And if many people would understand this, they would choose better friends, better partners, in such a way that you will know that I am this kind of person when it comes to generosity, and I'm this kind of person when it comes to stinginess. And because you already know who you are in those terms, then you will not go up and about giving excuses, or you will not go up and about judging others who portray what is not in you. Another thing, are you generous because of the traumas you went through and people pushed you towards being generous? And really, you don't really like sharing, you don't really like giving, or you don't really like doing those things. You're just doing it because you are pushed to it and you don't enjoy doing it. Because good generosity is when you do what is truly in your heart, so that later on you don't feel a type of way about it. Or are you stingy because of you are pushed towards being stingy by people always taking advantage of you, and so you decided, I won't be generous anymore, but it keeps eating you up because you truly are a generous person? Find out who you are and embrace it and go for it. That was all for today. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, stay simple. Remember to subscribe, comment, like, share, and hit that notification button so that every time we upload a video, you will be notified. Kwaheri.